up, everybody? In today's video, I want to show you guys and teach you how to ask for a raise. Specifically, if you were an employee of mine, I would want you to follow this steps and procedures to ask me for a raise. Because unlike most other companies, if you work at UZ Marketing, I want you to ask for a raise. If you don't work at UZ Marketing and you work at another company, follow these steps when you want to ask for a raise so that you can find out exactly how to improve your personal income at your place of business while also producing the maximum amount of value. Because if you go there and you ask for this in this way, hey, my personal life expenses went up, inflation is going up, and my rent's going up, and I don't have enough money to pay for this, you are guaranteed not to get a raise from me. And if you were to ask your employer, maybe they'll feel sympathetic for you and maybe they'll give you a small bump, but that's not how to ask for a raise. If you want to ask for a raise, you always go in with a plan and you go in demonstrating what value you have provided to deserve that raise. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So again, my name is Karthik Ramaswamy, Chief Operations Officer for UZ Marketing. I started quite a few years ago and I grew to Chief Operations Officer within just a couple short years. And I want to share tips, tricks, and all this stuff that I've learned over the course of the last few years, improving and getting promoted and getting salary increases, and now being on the flip side of actually helping other people get salary increases. So if you get value out of this video, leave it like. Takes a millisecond of your time, give me feedback in the comments, so let's get right into it. So, like I mentioned before, there's very clear steps on how not to ask for a raise. Do not go into a scenario with your employer and say, hey, my personal life is having XYZ issues, and that's why I'm asking for a raise. Because, quite frankly, the employer has nothing to do with your personal life, and your personal life is up to you to decide on how you handle your personal life. As I mentioned before, there are going to be some employers that are sympathetic to certain situations, and I personally can empathize with anybody who has a personal issue going on in their life. And in the event that an employee comes to me and asks for a raise because of an issue that's going on in their life, my first reaction is, how can we solve the problem of money going out of your life rather than money coming into your life? Because in order to get more money coming into your life, you have to improve your value to society, right? That's just how society works. That's how transactions work. It's a value exchange. If somebody's asking for more value for something that they're not producing, then that's the discrepancy and that's the arbitrage. It just makes no sense to pay more for the same amount of effort and the same amount of value. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, why would I pay you more for producing the same amount of work and same amount of value? It just doesn't add up. But if you flip that around and you take a look at it in a sense of, I will produce more value for this company and I will produce more value to society in general, and that's why I believe I should be paid more, there's a whole different story. Because if you've actually taken the steps required to generate and improve value for yourself and the business, then it's almost like a no-brainer. Because if your actions are directly or even indirectly resulting in the growth of your organization or your department, then why not pay you more? But here's the thing. You can't just say, I have made an improvement to the sales process and they're making more sales now. Okay, cool. I mean, you told me that, but now I have more questions about that. Like, what actions did you take? What results did those provide? What value is that providing to the company in general? How much time did it take you to learn that? Were you on the clock while you were learning that? And if you were you spending more time learning than you were actually producing results? All those questions start going through my head, and it just leaves me more confused and baffled as to whether or not you actually deserve the raise. So here's how you approach it. Create a proposal, a document, and go over step by step. I have done this. I have spent X amount of time learning about leadership training. So not just what you've learned, but how it impacted your day-to-day operations. So I have learned leadership training by taking this YouTube course. It was completely free. I did it on my free time. And now the way I implement it in my department is that I practice these weekly meetings with my team. Every single week, we go over what are some challenges that you're facing. How did we overcome those challenges? And the following week, we recap on those meetings and we discuss and implement strategies on how to constantly improve on the challenges we're facing on a week-by-week basis. And then what is the result that it occurred because of those changes? Well, our sales team is now producing 10% more sales every single week because of the change like this. That's a very data-based and specific way of describing how the change that you've done resulted in revenue for the business. Like, I can see on paper, looking at this, you went through X, Y, and Z and it produced 10% weekly revenue improvement. To me, that's a no-brainer. If a person's asking for a small marginal raise because of that, it's like, okay, well, this action directly resulted in 10% revenue increase for the company, so why not pay this person more? So in those cases, it's like very, very, very obvious that the employee is improving themselves and they're presenting it in a way that shows exactly what value that goes into the value exchange, right? So that's what we're all about here at Using Marketing. And any company worth its weight in worth its salt is going to tell you the same thing. Like, they're looking for value increases. When you go up to your employer and you say, hey, these are the series of things that I have done in the last few months, and a lot of it's done on my own personal time because I believe that I want to improve as a person and I want to improve my value in society. And this is the steps that I've taken to improve my value. Here it is. I'm presenting it to you in this proposal, and I propose that I get a 20% salary increase because of these actions. And as long as you have detailed the specifications and the metrics of what you're asking for, your supervisor is more likely than not going to be willing to entertain it. In the event that they're not willing to entertain it, I implore you to ask yourself this question. Are you producing more value for the company because of those actions? If yes, how much value are you improving? If you have determined that your value is improving the business, but your superior is not willing to entertain it, well, I'm sorry, but you got to look for another employment, because those are the actions that directly result in the growth of an organization. And any organization that's growing because of the employees should provide value exchange back to the employee who's creating that growth. At the end of the day, all companies are run by the employees, especially on the front lines. And if a company is not willing to look at the efforts and results that are produced by these frontline employees, then it's not a sustainable company, and that company is not about growth. Come over here to Using Marketing, because we're all about growth. So with all that out of the way, that's it for this video. If you got value from this video, leave a like, just leave that thumbs up. It takes less than a millisecond of your time. Give me feedback on this video. Can I do something better? Do you have any other questions? Do you have other things that you want to know about how to improve on your business or your lifestyle as an entrepreneur? So with all that out of the way, take care. See you on the next one.